So let's get talking about our major stories for today and our engagement with the Honorable Minister for Police Affairs, Mohammed Dingyadi. Nigeria is confronted with so many battles with desperate and ruthless criminals killing, maiming, kidnapping innocent Nigerians. Today we have the Minister of Police Affairs with us. But what are the issues that we shall be talking about tonight? The issues are the police capacity in fighting crime, how far with the promised reforms by the minister and the police, and of course, assessing the police minister's job, which is not an easy one. These are the issues for tonight. But again, you want to ask, what is the bottom line? The question is, how effective is the police? I'm being joined from Abuja studio by the Honorable Minister for Police Affairs, Mr. Mohammed Dingyadi. Thank you so much, Honorable Minister, for your time tonight.
Thank you very much, Sean. How is Lagos over there?
Yeah, Lagos is good. It rained today, and we hope that the good weather will continue. Let's begin the conversation from a recent event and what happened earlier today. We understand that there's been some rearrest of the inmates in the Kaba prison break. 114 out of the 220 have been recaptured. What more can you tell us, Minister?
Well, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much for this opportunity. I thank you once again for bringing me down here today. I must congratulate all those who are involved in making sure that the inmates that who escaped the prisons in that place are brought back to prisons. And I want to say that they have done a very good job. And I want to thank all the security agencies who are involved in this exercise. This is the way to go, and I want to assure all Nigerians that the remaining people who have escaped will very soon be recaptured and taken back to prisons by the grace of God.
I know there have been efforts by the federal government. There are other institutions and agencies of government that are involved in fortifying our correctional facilities to ensure that this kind of jailbreaks that we've seen it in Imo, we've seen it in Kogi, we've seen it in several other states. In Kogi, it has happened, not the fourth time happening in Kogi state. What efforts is being made by the federal government in conjunction with the Nigerian police in ensuring that this kind of jailbreaks do not happen again?
You see, Sharon, I think people easily forget what has been happening. When this thing started, a lot of efforts were put on ground to ensure that they don't repeat themselves again. And as you can recall, for the last 3 or 4 months, we have not had this kind of jailbreak since that time. And God will have it, we had it a few days ago. And every effort is being made to ensure that this kind of thing does not repeat itself. Security agencies, the police, the correctional service, the civil defense, and indeed the army were all in the various places in all the relevant areas to ensure that adequate security is being provided to avoid this kind of unfortunate incident. I think they had their day a few days back. They were able to break the correctional sentence in Kogi State. And I think the police, the security agencies are doing their best to ensure that we safeguard all these key and vulnerable points to ensure that we don't have this kind of unfortunate incident. It has happened, and we pray that a repeat will not be seen today or any time in the near future by the grace of God.
All right, Minister, Let's take you to some of the manner in which the police is doing its job. Recently, it does look like the fight against the bandits, we're getting some positives coming out of there. What would you say is responsible for some of the recent positives that we have seen?
You see, all these things are as a result of the collaborative efforts of the security agencies that are on ground. And as long as we have this collaboration, we will continue to record these successes in all the areas where these bandits are operating. And as long as we have the police, the army, the SSS working in good synergy, we will continue to record the successes. I think we have found the way out, and we believe that the successes we are going to continue to achieve them. The equipment and the intelligence we are trying to improve to ensure that we get to the right point at the right time. So we are going to see more and more successes coming up in the next in a couple of days.
It appears there is a change of tactics. At least we've seen some kind of movement and actions in Zamfara. We've seen in Katsina. Are you extending such tactics and attention to other states that are equally experiencing the activities of bandits?
We are assessing the situation as it is today. And I don't want to expand or to expatiate on what we are going to do next because it's a security situation. But we're assessing the successes we are recording, and we're assessing all the efforts we are putting in to ensure that more and more successes are recorded. But let me say that we want to appreciate what all the security agencies are doing. We want to appreciate the people in these various communities who are cooperating with the security agencies, because without their support and cooperation, the successes so far recorded wouldn't have been achieved within this reasonable time. So we are assessing what we have been putting in to see whether we will go ahead with the plans that are already on the ground or we will improve on what we are doing.
Is the window of amnesty still open for these bandits? Some governors have said no more amnesty. But from the federal government's point of view, will the police or will the federal government be willing to take in any of these bandits who are willing to surrender their arms and give them amnesty?
You see, when you talk of amnesty, it's a relative term. And what the federal government is trying to say is that let us see those who have surrendered their arms, let us listen to them, let us chronicle them, let us receive them. We cannot just throw these people away because they are all Nigerians. Of course, they are criminals, they have committed atrocities, they have committed crimes, but according to the international law, when you surrender from a war zone, you are not killed or you are not maimed. You are allowed to have your say. We are listening to them. We are trying to see how we can integrate them into the larger society. But the question of giving the amnesty in what we used to know amnesty, I don't think that is the way to go. What we are trying to do is to get them settled in their various communities, to let them have a kind of means of livelihood so that they can integrate peacefully and honorably into the larger society.
So the window for any of the bandits who want to surrender is still open?
Oh, with all pleasure. Anybody wishing to surrender and do it honorably and honestly, government is ready to listen. Government is ready to see what they can do to settle them down without much cost, to ensure that as a nation we have responsibility to our citizens. We integrate them with the little that we can afford to give them. And we'll continue to monitor what they are doing in their various communities to ensure that they don't go back to the bad old days of armed banditry and the rest of them. We will monitor them and we will ensure that they don't go back to the bad old days of kidnapping and armed banditry.
Several months ago, Minister, you promised some far-reaching reforms within the police structure and the organization. Can you tell us which of these reforms have taken effect?
You see, Sheon, when you talk about reforms, we are talking about putting in some new changes that will improve upon a system that we have already made. I want to tell Nigerians that Mr. President is 100% committed to reforming the police in this country so that we can have a police of our own, a police that we can call a Nigerian police, a police that will be very civil, a police that will be citizen-friendly, a police that is fully equipped, and a police that is well-trained and ready to achieve the set objectives put for it for the federal government of Nigeria. Mr. President is committed to this, and I want to tell you that he has put everything in motion to ensure that we try to reform the police in this country and improve it from where we met it today. Last time I mentioned to some people in a gathering that the president has set up a committee under the chairmanship of the vice president to look into the needs of the police and other security agencies, the needs that will ensure that they improve upon what they are doing today. And this committee is working, and I think as a result of its working, some new subcommittees have come up under the chairmanship of other members of the Federal Executive Council. We have one headed by the Minister of Finance that is there to see how houses can be provided for the police. We have another one chaired by the Attorney General of the Federation to see how we can improve the law established in the Police Trust Fund so as to make it more effective, to make it more functional, and to ensure that it performs more effectively. There is also another committee that is being chaired by the Chief of Staff to Mr. President to ensure that the salaries promised by Mr. President's salary review is concretized. The Chief of Staff and other members of the committee are currently meeting with the National Salaries and Wages Commission to see that in a technical form, to see that some outlines are put in place before a general stakeholders meeting is held to come up with what is required to review the salary of policemen in this country. So you can see that there is the willingness, the determination of government to improve the police and to improve the police services in this country. And in addition to all this, you can see, and you have busy, the IGP is going around the country to improve the operational services of the police, to dialogue with them, to tell them what to do, to tell them what not to do, to orient them, to let them know what the federal government is thinking, what Mr. President is thinking, and to ensure that there is total compliance to improve their own services, to improve how they approach issues, how they approach citizens in this country. And in addition to also this, here in the Ministry of Police Affairs, we have set up, in addition to the supervisory roles that were given to the police services, we are also we have set up a committee that is called Police Public Complaints Committee. This committee comprises the officers from the ministry, officers from the police force, officers from the Police Service Commission, Ministry of Justice, Human Rights Commission, to listen to complaints from the general public that have to do with infractions of the police. These are all things that are targeted at improving the conduct, improving the performance of the police so as to make them more accountable and more transparent. In addition to all this, we are also witnesses to what the president has done to the security agencies in this country, just to show some level of commitment to the performance, to the need to improve the performance of security service in this country in the light of what is happening today in many parts of this country. You have seen the supplementary budget that has been given to security agencies. The police in particular, I think the police force were given about 50 billion naira to re-equip, rebuild, and retrain the police. In the Ministry of Police Affairs, I think we were given about 12.5 billion naira. Other security agencies have also benefited from this supplementary allocation. So you can see the willingness of this administration to impact positively on the security agencies and in particular the police, to ensure that we reform the police in this country to make them better than what we left them, and to make them better than what we have them today.
Talking about reforms, I'll still come to the EndSARS panel and some of the allegations of human rights abuses against the Nigerian police and some of the issues of infrastructure and welfare of the police in a short while. But I'd like you to clarify a few things for us here. What can you tell us about the suspended police officer, Mr. Abba Kyari, who has been indicted by the FBI? What's the status of that investigation on him?
You see, the issue of Abba Kyari has become a public domain, and I think by now everybody has heard that the police, in their very wisdom, in their usual way of becoming transparent and being fair to all, they have set up a committee to investigate all these allegations, and we have also reported that the committee has submitted a report to IGP. And we have submitted this report and recommendations to the Attorney General of the Federation for legal opinion. Thereafter, we will take it to Mr. President for final consideration. So you can see, even though this matter is a local matter here, it also has some international connotations. So we have to take do some due diligence to ensure that we do the right thing. There has to be some consultations with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Justice, before a final decision is taken. But what is important is Nigerians should know that the police management is up and doing, and they have done what they are supposed to do. And I hope people will wait and see what actions is going to be taken on this matter.
How did you settle the matter? Because we understand that at some point the Police Service Commission weighed in on the matter. We also understand that the police hierarchy also did their own different investigation. Who is supposed to do this? Is it the police or the Police Service Commission?
No, you see, the investigation is supposed to be done by the police because it's their staff. We have informed the Police Service Commission, and they have directed that the officer be suspended from duty pending the outcome of the investigation. I think by the time we finish these things, we will refer what is needed to be referred to the Police Service Commission for final action. So I think it is the police who have the responsibility to investigate. But don't forget, after the investigation by the police, the entire matter will be referred to the Police Service Commission as far as the service of this gentleman is concerned, and then they will do the needful.
There's another clarity that I'd like you to give us here. The status, what is the status of the former EFCC boss, Ibrahim Magu? There was an investigation on him. At some point, we didn't hear anything. What about it? Give us the status report on it.
Well, the matter, like you said, is investigated. And the man is not yet, is still in the service. He is still in the force headquarters. I don't want to expatiate at this material time as to what is happening to the panel, to the report of the committee. What I know is that the matter has been submitted to Mr. President, and as far as I know, no communication has yet been submitted to the ministry or to the police force on this matter. So we are waiting for the final outcome, and the public will be informed as and when the need arises.
So Mr. Ibrahim Magu goes to the office at the police headquarters as a police officer. Is that what you're telling us?
Of course, yes, he's still a police officer, even though he is under suspension. And what you know is that he used to be the chairman of the EFCC, but he is no longer one. So you have not had any posting that has been assigned to him. So he's still there. He's still hanging in the pendulum, and but that does not mean that he is not within the payroll of the federal government. He is still a civil servant. He's still a police officer. So until the final decision is taken on the matter, I don't think I should say anything more than what I have said on this matter now.
Honorable Minister, please stay with us. We need to take a break on the program, but we'll come back. Our conversation will continue with the Honorable Minister, and of course, we will also like to hear from a professor of economics, Professor Ken Ife, who will be joining us after the time with the Minister of Police Affairs, and we'll be talking on the request by the President for more loans, which was submitted to the National Assembly today. Stay with us, everyone. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Let's continue our conversation with the Honorable Minister for Police Affairs, Mr. Mohammed Dingyadi, who is in our Abuja studio. Thank you so much, Honorable Minister, for your time tonight. There is a very important matter, which, since we're talking about the reforms of the police, I was going to ask you, there's a series of allegations against the Nigerian police relating to human rights abuses. Let me get your view on the EndSARS panel report. What's your view on some of the reports that have come out of the EndSARS panel?
No, you see, these panels, like you are aware, were set up by state governments to investigate these infractions. And it is their responsibility to receive these reports and do the needful. None of these reports is coming to us. All these reports will be submitted to the state government that has set up these panels of inquiry. And we expect that the state governments will look at them. What is supposed to be done by the Police Service Commission will be sent to them. And what the state governments are supposed to do will be done by the state governments. So we are waiting to receive the parts of the reports that are supposed to come to us. And I want to assure Nigerians that we are going to be transparent and we are going to do the needful to ensure that the Police Service Commission does what it's supposed to do on these issues when they are brought to them.
But how have the police been able to pick up the pieces in the aftermath of the mayhem unleashed on the men during EndSARS?
Well, you have seen the police are doing, and there's no shaking. We have been going about doing the normal security service that we are providing to Nigerians, and that is how it's supposed to be. And there is no any challenge, there is no any problem. We're equal to the task, and we're everywhere in this country. We are providing the daily security services that we are supposed to provide. Don't forget, in addition to all these banditry problems, the insurgency, the terrorism that is taking place in the Northeast, we also have other day-to-day police duties that are taking place in various police stations, in various places across the country. So the police is everywhere, and we are doing the task that we are supposed to do. And I think, as far as I'm concerned, we're fairly well in this country.
The police started the reorganization and reform of the police tactical squads, including the dissolution of SARS in the aftermath of the nationwide EndSARS protest. And the police also set up the Special Weapons and Tactics Team, now called SWAT, on the 13th of October 2020. After the first batch of training of that SWAT team, has there been any further action in respect of that new tactical unit?
Well, this will be about the third or the fourth time I'm answering this kind of question. You know, Nigerians always forget one thing. They are always after hearing things that can make headlines. If this I have said times of that number that this SWAT that we are talking about have been trained and have been posted to their various places, states of origin and states of working places, and they are working there at the moment. But what Nigerians or what people want to hear is that what infractions are the SWAT also doing? What kind of infractions are they committing so that people will know that they are around? They are around, they are performing their lawful duties, and we are satisfied with what they are doing in their various states. So I think it is because they have not performed any infractions. That is why people are not aware that they are around. They are around. I believe the armed robbers are aware that they are around, and that is why we have a very good record of armed robbery in this country. Is significantly reducing, and I'm sure it is not unconnected with the performance of the SWAT in this country. So they are doing their jobs. They are everywhere in this country, and we are so far satisfied with what they are doing.
Some of these stories on the police colleges we've reported right here on China's television in the past. Some of those police colleges are in very bad state. How far in cleaning up those police colleges? What is the status? What has the federal government done in fixing the state of the Nigerian police colleges?
I want to slightly agree with you. Some of these police colleges are in bad shape, particularly those in Lagos where you are. They are in bad shape, really. And we're aware of that. We're making every effort to ensure that we improve, we renovate these police colleges, we expand them to the standard that we are supposed to provide these kind of colleges. And we have made adequate provisions. The Police Trust Fund has budgetary provisions. The police force, they also have some budgetary provisions for the renovations of some of these colleges. Very soon we will start. As we are aware, the Police Trust Fund had their budget just about 2 or 3 months ago, and they have started making procurement processes to ensure that we take up the renovation of some of these police colleges.
That's good to note. But in terms of the numbers of the Nigerian police force, there is always the argument and the debate that we do not have sufficient police officers to police Nigeria. The police to citizen ratio, as stipulated by the United Nations for Nigeria, is rather low. Is there any effort in equipping or recruiting more police officers, and when will that happen?
Well, maybe let me also say that on a number of occasions in this very studio, I try to explain our position on recruitment of police in this country. Mr. President is very clear, has given very clear directives on this, and we are making efforts to comply with these directives. He has directed us to recruit 10,000 constables annually for the next 4 years of his administration. We have done the first one. The second batch was slightly affected by the tussle between the police force and the PSC. But as I'm speaking to you now, we are making arrangements. Maybe in the next 1 week, we are commencing the second part of the recruitment exercise of the 10,000 constables that we are supposed to recruit. That is to say, 2019 and 2020. 2021, we intend to continue with it before the end of this year by the grace of God. So we are on course. We have only been delayed by some technical issues, and we are trying to overcome them. Like you rightly observed, our ratio is very low compared to the international standard, but we are aware of this. We are trying to make sure that we improve upon what we have in terms of the boats that are on the ground.
good news, and we hope that all of this will happen soon. Because I was going to, in wrapping up, the big question is the Nigeria police overwhelmed? There seems to be a lot of operations engaged, that the police is engaged. There are not enough personnel. The issue of equipment is another thing. But as it is right now, is the Nigerian police or the Nigerian police officers, are they overwhelmed?
Far from that, we are not overwhelmed. We are doing the best that we can to provide the needed services to all Nigerians. Like I said earlier on, the police are everywhere in the country, and it is also the police, Mike, it is only the police among the security agencies that are in every village, that are in every town, that are in every local government, that are in every state of the federation, including FCT. So we are everywhere. We are doing the job that we are supposed to do day and night, 24 hours. So we are not overwhelmed. And the only thing I want to say, we are not doing the very best. Nigerians expect us to do more, and we are making efforts to do more to ensure that we perform better than what we are doing. And that is the essence of the reform that Mr. President is talking about. And we are on top of the situation. We are continuing to improve. And from what you even said, we are recording some positive successes. And I want to believe that these successes will continue by the grace of God.
On a final note, Minister, I understand that your ministry obtained an approval from the Federal Executive Council for the concession of the $470 million moribund National Public Security Communication Network, which has closed-circuit television, the CCTV project, as a major component. Has anything tangible been done since that approval?
Of course, yes. We have been receiving reports from the concessionaire. They are making a lot of progress. They are trying to replace all the damaged parts that have been spoiled from this CCTV project. And they are doing everything to ensure that they empower it, they resuscitate it. But there are other things that are supposed to do to ensure that this work is not tampered with. With the light of the security situation that we have in the country, they are taking a lot of caution, but we are making efforts to ensure that they continue the services they are providing, they continue with the work they are supposed to do. So they are making progress in this direction, and we are monitoring what they are doing. Even last week, they came to my office, they briefed me, they gave me a report on what they are doing, and we are going around to see what they are doing as far as resuscitating this project is concerned. So we're on top of it, and we want to make sure that things are going on smoothly and in accordance with the plans.
Honorable Minister for Police Affairs, Mohammed Dingyadi, it's a pleasure having you join us tonight. Many thanks for the time that you have taken. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Appreciate it.